And I kept having this recurring thought in my head, like, Anton Daniels, who hurt you, who hurt you, who hurt you? Why are you such against, blended families? Why is your focus so much on the women who are raising a child alone? Your focus is not on the men who left the woman to raise a child on their own.
Melanie P. Talk to him. That's scary with Melanie P. Come on. Here we go.
This episode is about some BS, child, some Anton Daniels BS. He said my podcast was trash and wasn't getting no traction. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have been dropping so much content lately, and I want to make sure that I have the support of my sisters and brothers. I've dropped a bunch of episodes talking about the Love is Blind BS that has come out, and I just did an episode with my good friend Sharice, who is a commercial real estate broker, and we are trying to get you guys to have generational wealth and buy up some commercial real estate so you can pass down to your kids. I was doing some random research, and I came across a clip on social media from my good sis Armani Talks. And she posted this amazing short that was talking about how she met a man. She was dating a man. He was an amazing man. And even though he was amazing and they were dating, she did not feel like he was the man for her. So she, in the most healthy way, she explained to him she did not see a future with him, and he was an amazing person, and she wanted to remain friends, but she just wanted to explore her options as a young 30-year-old woman, and she did not want to string him along. She wanted to allow him to find his person if it wasn't her, and she wanted to give herself the time and the grace to find her person if it was not him. And I remember looking at that clip thinking, wow, what a healthy display of maturity and communication and, grace that she gave herself, not only herself, but also gave this young man, to not string him along and use him and this and that just because he was a good guy. But she cared enough about this gentleman to let him find the one that was for him. And I just thought that was amazing. So as I was doing my research, I remember seeing our good friend Anton Daniels do a whole video about Armani Talks. And when I saw that video, it really took me down a spiral. Like, it took me down a spiral of all types of Anton Daniels videos. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I'm not going to knock any black man. I'm not going to knock anybody who is, pursuing their dreams and is making, getting a bag for their family. I'm not going to do that. But I don't think that he gives, other black women and other men, for that point, that same grace. And I just wanted to talk about it. Also, I had an experience this weekend with a real life grown man who branded himself as a high value man and a follower of the Kevin Samuels ideology. And it was such a eye-opening experience, honestly. I know this sounds dramatic, but I have never honestly met a adult grown man who just was a real stand for Kevin Samuels. Now, have I seen these men on social media? Have I seen them, on TV or social media? Yes. But I never actually sat down and had a conversation with with a black man who, believed himself to be a high value black man, a upper echelon, to be specific, black man. And between that conversation and the Anton Daniels shorts regarding Armani Talks, and then the spiral of videos that I went down with Anton Daniels, I'm like, okay, this is really, really, really interesting. So this won't be a long video. This is just going to be just my kind of just I want to hear your thoughts, to be honest with you. Like, what I want to know is, are women truly coming in contact with these men who are high value men? The video from Anton Daniels regarding Armani Talks, I thought was very weird. I thought that honestly, this grown older man talking about this younger black female in such a negative way for her exercising healthy communication with a man, and then not only denigrating the woman, but also calling the young man that she had healthy communication with a simp. It really made me Google, like, what the hell is a simp? Because a simp has to be something that is noble and, it can't be what I'm thinking it is, right? I remember in the video with Anton Daniels, he called the young man that Armani Talks was breaking up with a simp because he was, still wanting, still a friend to her and had sent her flowers and was such a great guy. So it made me Google, like, what the hell is a simp? So I went to Google and I Googled what a simp was. And a simp is a slang insult for men who are seen as attentive and submissive to women, especially out of a failed hope of winning some entitled sex, attention, or activity from women. Translation: the word simp is meant to troll young men for doing anything for a girl to get some action he supposedly deserves. So this is what I kept hearing Anton Daniels call other men: simp this, simp that, simp, simp, simp. And it just made me think, Anton Daniels, who hurt you? So then I started doing some more digging and I found a video with our Black King, Russell Wilson. And he was sitting down with another ex-football player, kind of explaining his relationship from initiation to now with our beautiful sister, Sierra. He was explaining how when he met her, he believed that God, spoke to him and said that, it would be his responsibility, and I'm paraphrasing, but it would be his responsibility to be a husband to Sierra and to be a father to Little Future. I think Little Future must have been like 9 months old. And all throughout that video, I saw nothing but a display of what I feel like men should be. And I'm not a man. I'm not telling a man what to be or who to be. But I have 3 older brothers. I'm a daddy's girl. I have an influx of men in my space and in my community, healthy men. And when I see a man who is confident in himself to not only be able to hear from God, but to also take on the responsibility of another man's child who might be absent in that child's life, that is nothing but a notable situation. I keep looking, and here goes Anton Daniels, and he's saying Russell Wilson is a simp. And no man should want to be with any woman that has a child, and that women with, children and no father are damaged goods in other countries. And his advice to men is to not be with any woman that has a child. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, what am I looking at? There's no way that this young man, Anton Daniels, could be spreading such toxicity, right? And I feel like, okay, this man must be a worshiper, and I use that word intentionally, a worshiper of Kevin Samuels, because it's like, how can you as a black man say in one breath on one video that you're an advocate for the black family, you're an advocate for marriages, and you want to see more marriages and more families, but in the same breath, you literally say that a man who takes on a father role for a child that does not have a father is a simp? And I kept having this recurring thought in my head, like, Anton Daniels, who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Why are you such against, blended families? And why is your focus so much on, the women who are raising a child alone, but not, your focus is not on the men who left the woman to raise a child on their own? I feel like the missing piece to this conversation was woman had a child, woman had a child, woman had a child by herself. But we're missing the whole piece of the man who impregnated the woman, who had a responsibility to the woman and the child, who is an absentee person, and calling the man a simp who steps in to play that, or to be that father figure for a child whose actual biological father is not, is not present. And I thought, wow, a black man calling another black man a simp for raising a young black child is honestly saying, fuck that child. You literally are saying, fuck that child. Now, here's some interesting tea. Obviously, we know that Drea Michelle is pregnant by Jalen, a NBA player, and she is 39 and he is 22. And of course, Anton Daniels did a whole video denigrating Drea Michelle and calling her this and that. And I put a comment. I put a comment because it was very disgusting to me, honestly. And I said, I forgot what I said. I'll put it here on the screen. But basically, I was just saying that, you are so quick to talk about, this woman. But you need to be really need to be careful, especially being a married man, especially being a man with a daughter. I believe he has a daughter. You never know what the fate of your child's going to be in terms of, and I don't wish this on nobody, but, we are not our children. So you could have so much strong opinions about baby mamas and they're not worth anything and they're this and they're that, but you have a daughter and you don't know what the journey and the future of your daughter is going to be. So if your daughter, and we hope this is not her case, but if she pops up with a child and a man decides not to be a father to that child, is she going to be worthless goods? Is she going to be worthless, not worth a man desiring her for marriage, not worth a man stepping in to be a father to that child? I just think it's just so disgusting. I think it's so detrimental to the black community to be putting out a narrative that women who have children who are not with that father are damaged goods. I was disgusted by this. And I really needed to come on to just give my 2 cents. You know what I'm saying? He has some things to say that I did agree with, but it was just so, it overshadowed, like the things that he said that was just toxic overshadowed anything that he said that made sense. And again, I put that comment under his Instagram story and he told me that my podcast was trash and had no traction, and that's fine. But again, you have to be careful of the seeds that you're sowing. I keep saying this, but I had a live, and I'm gonna do another live, talking about the importance and the role people play, as a podcaster, as someone on the YouTube space or in any type of space where, you kind of sometimes you have a responsibility to just not be a part of the problem, but you want to be a part of the fix. I get it. I totally get it. If you read and research Kevin Samuels, rest his soul, I remember reading something that said that, he used to do a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of social media posts about community and about bridging the gap and all these things, but that did not get any traction. But as soon as he started doing this, 50-50 nonsense and this, black men are, high value men and women are just a 5 and all these things, that's what got the traction. That is what was popular. So he kept going with that because he wanted to get paid. So he kept going with that narrative, even though he didn't even believe that shit, all of it himself. And I just feel like, Anton Daniels is, I guess, a Kevin Samuels reincarnate, a Kevin Samuels wannabe, but we see how Kevin Samuels turned out. And I don't wish that on nobody. God rest Kevin Samuels' soul, but you can't be talking about a high value man and you're not even taking your meds or being healthy enough to sustain life, to continue that high value rhetoric and high value lifestyle and high value ideology. You know what I'm saying? A part of being a high value man is being healthy and taking your medication if you need it, going to the doctor and doing, the things you need to be around. So I feel like you really have to be careful. There's all this conversation. I've been a part of it. I'm not going to throw a rock and hide my hand, but when you have these platforms, you don't just want to spew the toxicity. I understand that that is something that people like to hear, unfortunately, but use your platform for good as well. For good as well. Anton Daniels referred to women as funky hoes, bitches, regos. And I'm just like, if women are a rego, then what do you see yourself? Like, when you look in the mirror, what do you see yourself as? You have all this to say about women. They're not this, they're not worth this, they're not worth that. But what do you see in your mirror? Like, what is it? There's nothing in me that would have to totally put down. There's nothing in me. Like, I have had my opinions about black men only because I see them as I see black men as up here. And so anytime I see a black man who's not acting like the king that I see, it's just like, okay, put on your crown, fix your crown, dust your crown, because you are a king. I'm coming from that space, right? I come from nothing but healthy, happy, great, black, beautiful black boy joy. So if I see something that's not like that, it makes me want to push them to be more so like that. I don't know what Anton Daniels saw growing up. I don't know what Anton Daniels' experience was, but for you to have a whole platform talking shit about men and talking shit about women, something had to happen to you growing up. And again, I wish you well. I know you think my podcast is trash. I know you think I'm low traction, whatever the case might be. You're not God. But anyway, at the end of the day, y'all, drop your comments. I want to know your opinions. Do you know who Anton Daniels is? Do you agree with what he says? Are you in agreement with this whole simp culture? What are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts and your comments in the podcast, in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. I'm dropping new episodes literally every other day. Welcome to the That's Scary with Melanie P family, and I will see you in the next episode.